the others, yeah.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes, is presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL,
Now your hosts,
Lauren Brooks,
Donna Murphy,
Blythe Brumley, and Lauren Rue.
Jenna will be along in just a minute. Until then, ladies, we get to talk about the first Jaguars victory since September.
It's wild.
I guess October and November will be months to forget. In December, we'll see if it's a month to remember. But as of Sunday, the Jaguars are 4-8. At least they're not going to finish 3-13, the exact opposite of what I predicted before the season, which would be 13-3. What did the Jaguars' victory mean to you? Lauren Rue, I'll start with you because I have a feeling something tells me Blythe wasn't all that excited about the win.
No, my guess is she wasn't either, and I'll make this quick so she can get right to it. It meant that the team is capable of winning. It meant that the defense, when they feel like putting it all together and the communication issues are not apparent, that they can pitch a shutout, if you will. And they could do it against Andrew Luck, who had been fairly successful up until that point. I can't explain it, and I really don't understand why it happened in this situation and not other games throughout the season, but it meant one win that they so desperately wanted and needed. Does it mean that things are going to be fixed and this team doesn't have as many problems as we thought? No, absolutely not, because if you watch the offense, there's a reason they were only able to put up 6 points. That still remains true. But it meant to me that we got to have conversations on Monday and throughout this week. Unfortunately, of course it falls on a short week, right? The win can't fall on a week where you have 4, 5, 6 full days to go. Maybe there's not another loss in the future for another week. This one happens to be on the short week, but 4-8. It's not great, and I sound like Dr. Seuss. Take it away, Blythe.
No, that was actually pretty great.
Thank you.
I've never been so ready for a season to be over with. Ever since the Dallas game, that blowout loss in Dallas, I knew that this season was over. There was sort of a little sliver of hope for a couple weeks after the Dallas game, but since then I'm just ready. I'm ready for the season to be over with. I'm ready to watch playoff football. I'm ready to I guess get back to like my normal swing of things, my normal life. Does
it feel like a chore to be a fan right now?
Yeah, it does. The Sunday was the first game that my brother didn't go to in years and years. He was working 10-hour days, and so he just decided on Sunday, he's like, I'm not going. I just want to, catch up on things to do at the house, laundry and things like that. Just, sort of have a me day before he goes back to work, for the busy Christmas season. And so it felt off. And even like leaving the stadium with the win, watching the game the whole time, I felt like we were going to lose 7-6 the entire time. And then when we did win, it was like, we're not going to the, the cabana area to celebrate. Everybody's going back to the, the tailgate area and everybody's going home. It just wasn't lively. And I thought it was just me until I got back to the tailgate and everybody was sort of feeling the same way. And there was one lady, bless her heart, she was, saying, let's go Jags, as we were walking out of the stadium. My dad looked at her, he was like, settle down, it's only 4 wins. So he's sort of feeling, I guess, the same things too. And I got a little reminder today that the time hop reminders, how they, a year ago, whatever photo that you posted, and a year ago today was the day that the Jaguars opened up as 3-point favorites over the Seattle Seahawks. And that Seattle game was one of, I thought it was franchise changing. You had that 75-yard bomb from Blake to Keelan Cole. You had the fight in the stands, and it was sort of like we're not going to be the ones that are going to be bullied anymore. We're going to be the bullies to other teams. And it felt like everything was changing, and here we are again, a top 10 pick and, another lost season. I don't know, I'm just ready.
I felt 2 ways about it. One, the defense still has the ability to be elite. Mm-hmm. That we have not seen in weeks, months. And that means that, okay, the core, at least on defense, can remain. The linebackers certainly haven't played super well, but there are pieces on that defense that for a while I was ready to go well, we got to get rid of that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. And instead it was like, okay, yes, the pieces are there so this team in this offseason can focus on the offense. I felt like that. But I also felt like this franchise has fallen so far to now 6 points from the offense get you a victory that you don't even want to celebrate. Nobody, you're not alone, Blythe. Nobody was rah-rahing after the game. Everybody was thinking to themselves, oh, if only the Jaguars had beaten Indianapolis the first time and beaten the Bills last week and then beaten the Eagles in London, all those close games, then at least the Cowboys and the Chiefs losses wouldn't have been nearly as bad. And we all walked away going, well, Kessler didn't turn it over. For all the let's go, Cody Kessler, can't stand Blake Bortles, and certainly that we've had that argument. But Cody Kessler didn't do anything great either. So what is going to be electrifying on this offense? What did the Jaguars' victory mean to you, Donna?
Nah. Like, hooray, it was a win, but meh, It was more exciting that the Colts lost, that the Jags won, I think.
I took pure pleasure in that, walking out of the stadium, sending Colts fans home with a dose of reality. Yes. They'd had those 5 games they had such great performances by Luck in the offense, so it was nice to go, you're not as good as you think.
And the fact that the game ended the way it did. Like, ooh, is there controversy? What do you...
Well, it was literally decided down to the last second.
Yep.
I mean, up in the press box, we kept thinking, the Jags punted away, 4th and 1, 2 minutes to go, Andrew Luck. It's bound to happen, right? It's that the way the season has gone, they're bound. This is the time, and it's Andrew Luck, and the defense has stood tall and stood tough this entire game, and this is where it ends in the last 2 minutes. And literally down to that last play, and even when the play was called and he was kept in bounds and they ran out the clock, there was still a moment of, are they going to go back, and can they go back, and will they put an extra 3 or 4 seconds on the clock? But Blythe, I'm curious from your perspective, if Blake Bortles, okay, let me just set up a scenario here. Say the Jags season doesn't go to the extreme of how it was planned. They make the playoffs, say they get eliminated in the playoffs, but Blake Bortles has kind of an up and down season, but you still get to the playoffs, but you still fall short of what the ultimate goal was going to the season for so many others. Would you rather have that and know that Blake would be returning and there'd be no questions at quarterback? Or would you rather sacrifice this season and essentially be in a position where you get a win and you turn into 4-8, that it feels the way it does, but at least you know these problems are going to be, or you hope these problems will be addressed and that it's obvious and that finally the Blake Bortles experiment could be over, or experience could be over?
Well, it's interesting you asked that, because after the Dallas game, I made a comment on Twitter that this is the season we should have had last year. That the Jaguars, with Blake's performance last year, it caused them to be sort of overconfident in his abilities and that he would continue to get better and he would continue to gain more confidence. And they re-signed him to a horrible deal. Like nationwide, the media is calling this, the Blake Bortles re-signing or his new contract, they're calling it one of the worst decisions in pro football history ever since the CBA was redone, I think in like 91 or something like that. That's what they're calling this move to re-sign Blake Bortles. And a part of me feels like we should have had this season last year. And so I don't know if I would want to trade that, because I had so many great memories last year. It was felt like such a magical run, but I did feel like this is the inevitable decision, because he has shown us who he really is over the course of his 5-year career. He had one fluke season where everything went perfect for him and he was able to succeed, but basically he's been held with kid gloves around him this entire time, and it's led to the detriment of the team. And I think that you almost saw the defense play better because they realize now that the organization is making those decisions to better the franchise instead of relying on a quarterback that is just not the guy.
See, I thought the defense played well because they finally got their heads out of their rear ends, and I don't think that whether Blake was starting or Cody Kessler was starting, that affected their lack of communication in certain games.
When
they're
I
on the
disagree.
field, they need to know what they're doing. They need to know their assignments. regardless of what the offense is doing.
In theory,
if you're a
yeah.
professional.
In theory, yeah, but a bad teammate and a bad leader, especially at the quarterback position, the most important position in all of sports, you have to be that guy. You have to be that alpha male leader. And I think that it says a lot when Blake Bortles is supposed to be ascending as a quarterback and he's not playing against the number one defense in practice in the offseason. I think that he lost a lot of respect from that defense in the offense when he didn't. And I don't know if that's his decision. I don't know if it's a coaching decision. But if I'm Blake, I want to go against the best because I want to be better. And he didn't choose to do that. And we saw where we are now.
And I'll disagree that I don't think he was a terrible leader. His play on the field amounted to where he couldn't take control. But I think everything he did other than throw the football, which is by far the most important thing he has to do, but still everything else he succeeded at off the field with teammates. So I think leadership-wise, he gave it his all, and that's all you can ask.
His all?
Yeah, he gave it his all. He just
Was he the first one in, the last one out? Was he always in the film room? Was he doing extra practices on the
We're
side?
back and say 5 hours of film practice they had each week?
I've never heard that he wasn't trying his best.
Then that's not his all. I want to hear that he was the first one in, the last one out.
I'd like to believe that the quarterback position, that group, spends all the time that they
You got to be with your receivers,
But just because you spend the time in the film room and spend the time doing the off-season camps in California and work on your mechanics, it still doesn't mean that you're necessarily ever going to be an outstanding quarterback. But you are trying. You are flying wide receivers out there. Again, he's not the quarterback here moving forward. It's the extension did not work. All of those decisions have been made. I just have a hard time saying that he was a terrible leader. A terrible quarterback? Yes. Does that make it hard to be a really good leader? Absolutely, because not all the troops want to rally around you. But I think he gave what he could. He played through injuries. He scrambled and took hits when he didn't necessarily need to. I still am not saying he was a good quarterback. I'm just saying he did try his best.
Good for him. He's ruined a franchise. Good for him.
All right, when we come back, we are going to talk to Brooke Pryor from the Kansas City Star. She's going to join us, and we are going to get into the Kareem Hunt situation. And a little later, we are going to give away an authentic on-field female Jaguars jersey, so be listening for that. You are listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
So sorry.
Traffic was terrible.
Oh, you're fine.
I mean, is it a full moon tonight?
I don't know.
Anybody?
It was bad for me too, on the beaches.
I went from one accident to another. I'm like, oh, let me take this shortcut. Nope. Let me take this short. Nope. All right. That's why I'm glad I called you. I was like, maybe like
3946.
And that's Brooke Pryor.
Yep.
3946.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
This should be really interesting.
Yeah. This is not her, and I can, if you want, I can set it up when we come back. This is not her first time to cover a situation like this. She was at OU when Joe Mixon was there, and so unfortunately, she's had in her short career as a beat writer has had to deal with a story like this and uncovering it and being part of it. And I'm curious from her perspective. I mean, I'd like the nuts and the bolts of what the NFL and the Chiefs did or did not do, but I'm also really curious, how does this make you feel covering an organization that and being part of, I mean, we are part of the NFL as well, how they seem to view violence towards women. I mean, it's frustrating as hell, I think. And so I'm just curious, kind of like, as a woman who stands up there in the scrum of men most of the time, how does that make you feel when the team you cover made no attempt to even get this video, and nor did the NFL.
Did you hear what Amy Trask said about it?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's that's what when you said her the other day,
earlier.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago. That's
because she was subtweeting somebody or something. Go ahead. Yeah.
Probably because she was on TV, and I think it was Jim Rome that interviewed her, and she said that if she was still an executive, what she would do is she would call around. She would either use her local sources within law enforcement around the city to try to secure that video. She's like, I would automatically assume in today's day and age that there is video, and I would do my due diligence to find that video. Yeah. And if it didn't happen in our city, I would call the teams. I would call that team in that city and ask them to facilitate their contacts in that city in order to secure that video.
Yeah. The hotel, from what I read, the hotel refused to release it to anyone other than the police. And
Right,
because
and that's
the police weren't
legally, but teams. Okay, so
investigating-
this just came out. Well, a couple hours or an hour ago. The National Football League did not file a formal request for the records of February the 10th incident in Cleveland involving
Right.
him until November 30th.
They
The
did not
same
wanna
day
know.
The TMZ video came out. The Kansas City Chiefs never made a formal request, according to public records reviewed by. They didn't want to know.
But didn't the
Yeah.
NFL tell the Chiefs not to?
That's
I
there's
thought the
that's rumored
NFL
has been well.
requested it, and the hotel said we will only release it to the police.
Well,
the hotel had a policy.
that part will ask for clarification, but there is no record. They knew about this back in February.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
But
thought
they
the
did not
NFL
make
did,
a-
not the Chiefs, but the NFL requested the video, and the hotel told the NFL we'll only release it to the police. But since there were no charges,
But they
the
have to
NFL
take the
told
routes
them.
that TMZ is going to take. They're most powerful
Yeah, but they
organization.
did not even request it till the day it came out.
Oh, see, what I read is the NFL did request it.
No,
when the
that's
issue
not
happened.
according
Okay.
to this most recent thing that came out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that they did not
So that's just
even.
what they were
They were like,
saying.
"Oh shit, it's out. We better put in a formal request because all that stuff's made public." Didn't look like they did their due diligence.
They didn't want to know. The TMZ will find a way, and the NFL needs to take their same approach to it.
Yeah, so
They
we had
should
multiple
hire
verbal
TMZ.
conversations with Cleveland police officers who requested surveillance video immediately upon learning of the incident in February, said Brian McCarthy, who's the VP of NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, right? But it turns out open records requests trigger a requirement by government to release from several organizations. And But I guess people, they said they actually did, but when they went to look and see when the request was made, that it was on November the 30th.
How did they not think that this kind of information would get out?
Again, stuff to clarify
It's
with
so
door open.
comfy.
Brooke.
Oh yeah, I
but-
said, you know what? I don't care. We're not
I
on
love
the boat.
it.
I'm coming in my PJs.
I love it.
Sorry. Video. This is how I cook.
I love this. Leonard Fournette is well rested and motivated to play in a primetime game against a divisional rival. Like,
I would be so
that's from the
frustrated.
official Jaguars account. Motivated to play.
That poor social media manager.
I know.
I would never check the mentions ever.
No.
I'm not disagreeing that he's motivated. I just mean if he was really motivated, he would have played last week.
That might be broken.
Uh-oh. Oh, the adapter's not working?
Yeah, the black piece.
Oops.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay because.
JJ, how are you tonight? I forgot to ask you earlier.
This is Miss Pryor.
Just kidding.
How are you? This is JJ over in Jacksonville.
Miss Pryor.
I'm good. You ready
Very
for it?
funny. That's how he's doing tonight. He's performing.
That's fancy JJ for you.
I'm good, Lauren.
Sorry, JJ.
No, you're good.
Not only did I not ask, but then I interrupt you.
All right, we got about.
Sage Seal has great hair.
Yeah.
And skin.
Oh, yeah.
And
Perfect.
smile
She's
and
awesome.
all the things. And she's tiny and
Mm-hmm. We'll
Hater.
just turn in
Just
there
kidding.
and-
Killer.
I'll kill her.
I'll come back with Kareem Hunt.
Okay, great.
This is with Lisa Salters.
Perfect.
It don't really matter what happened. I was in the wrong. I could have, took responsibility and, made the right decision to, find a way to de-escalate the whole situation.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Well, that was Kareem Hunt. He sat down with Lisa Salters on Sunday morning. Plenty of things to react to there, but let's get right to it. Joining us from Kansas City, from the Kansas City Chiefs Kansas City Star and Kansas City Chiefs beat writer and friend of the program because she's been on with us before, Brooke Pryor. Brooke, how are you?
Well, it's been a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of news, clearly. So I'm hanging in there, though. Thankful that today was less crazy than the last couple of few.
I would love to be able to say, Brooke, this is the first time you've had to cover something like this, and how is this new to you, and how do you... But Brooke was part of the OU football staff and knows all too well about Joe Mixon, and even was part of D.D. Westbrook conversations as well, Brooke. So when this most recent thing happened with Kareem Hunt, walk us through when you found out, how you found out, and where we are today on the Tuesday, essentially after the news came out.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like here we go again. Because like you said, I started covering OU after the Joe Mixon incident happened, but while I was there, the video came out. And then I was covering D.D. Westbrook when that stuff came out. In this situation, we had just left the locker room on Friday afternoon, and I had seen him, like, he walked into the locker room. I looked at Kareem Hunt, and I thought, do I need to ask him anything today? No, I think I'm good. We'll talk, after the game, because the Raiders have the worst rush defense in the NFL. I figured he'd have a big game. We'd talk about it, see a story, and that was that. And then as I was walking back through the PR office, I got a DM from someone that said, had you seen this? And it was a link to the DMC story. And that kind of just set everything off. We saw it at the same time that Chiefs PR saw it, because I went back in there to ask them for a comment, and they were all huddled around the computer looking at the exact same video I had just seen on my phone. And, it was a really graphic video. I'm, not going to compare levels of violence because it's all bad, and it's always jarring to see a man shove a woman and kick a woman. The last thing you see on the video is the one that really sticks with me as being just inexcusable. The whole thing is inexcusable, and to end it like that was kind of a gut punch. And so, yeah, that happened Friday. Was at the Chiefs facility until late in the night, and when he was placed on the commissioner's exempt list and then released, which I don't think any of us expected. We kind of heard gasps around the workroom as that was announced. And we didn't expect it, but it was the right decision, albeit I don't agree with their reasoning as releasing him because he wasn't truthful when they talked about the situation. So but at least they cut him from the team. I think that's the biggest takeaway, that they did that.
Former NFL executive Amy Trask said last week when all of this news was breaking that in today's day and age you have to always assume that there was video, and the Chiefs and the NFL are both getting hammered for essentially not going after the video more. Why don't you think that the Kansas City Chiefs attempted to get this video initially when they found out in February?
Well, the thing with the Chiefs is, I don't give them a pass completely, but according to the people I've talked to, they were told not to pursue the video, and that's standard operating procedure in the NFL. Once they talk to Kareem, figure out what's happened, and then turn it over to the league, that's it. Their role is done. That's now up to the league to investigate. So, excuse me. Once they did that, they were not supposed to pursue the video, and that's not their role. So, they did what they were supposed to do, and I blame the NFL for not trying harder. If TMZ can get it, they certainly should have been able to get it.
Brooke, knowing that the Chiefs took Kareem's word for it, he said that he was not truthful. There's two other incidents that involved Hunt, and one apparently in January where he was part of a group that beat up a man, and then one in June at an Ohio resort where he punched a man. Were they well aware of these events?
Yes, they were. The Chiefs did know about both of those events, and once they... I'm so sorry. I picked a very bad time to be sick. Once they found out about those incidents, they turned that over to the league as well. And that's another thing where I think the league messed up by not investigating that further and faster. I think that, though, with there being so many incidents with Kareem, that should have raised some red flags within the organization, and they should have taken action sooner before video came out.
Brooke Pryor joining us from the Kansas City Star, Kansas City Chiefs beat writer. Brooke, how did it make you feel personally? You've worked with Kareem Hunt day in and day out now for quite some time. How did it make you feel as a female?
It's really tough. Tyreek Hill's also on this team, and that was a weird thing when I started covering him because of the personal feelings that I had about what he had done in his past. And covering Kareem Hunt, I felt similar to the way I felt about covering covering Dede Westbrook, where, you know, not 24 hours before that news dropped, I was working on a story about what a great guy Dede Westbrook was, about how he had really come up from nothing in his small Texas town, and I felt like I was writing this feel-good story. And, you know, earlier this month, I was in South Willoughby, Ohio, getting to know Kareem Hunt's family and friends. And so I felt like I was getting to know this guy, and I didn't have a gut feeling that anything was wrong. And so it is, you know, it's really tough when you realize that you don't actually know the guys in the locker room, and it's not set up for you to get to know the guys in the locker room, and so you can't just assume that every guy is a great guy and that every guy, you know, is not going to mess up and doesn't have a darker side. And I think that it's a lesson to everyone to not elevate these guys and put them on a pedestal, because there's so many things that we don't know. And as a woman covering it, I think I reacted a lot more passionately to the video coming out, and I was very vocal on Twitter right away. You know, hey, this is not okay. Do not get in my mentions saying that she hit him too as a justification, because it's never okay to hit a woman, and two wrongs don't make a right. So that line just really bothers me when they say, well, she hit him too, and, you know, two people were involved. Like, I don't care. Just don't do it, period. Walk away. Remove yourself from the situation. So it bothered me.
Sure, absolutely. I don't think you're alone in that. I'll speak for everybody in the room. I think it bothered every single one of us to see this once again. Brooke, the NFL has made this attempt, and I use the word attempt very loosely, to change the way they're viewed when it comes to domestic violence, which this is not a case of, but it is violence toward women. And they have tried to lead us to believe that they care and that they're making a change. But when stories like this break, and then the lack of execution about following up from their side of things is reported the way it is being reported, that they went after the video or requested the video the same day it came out, that TMZ just happened to have it out. It's hard to believe they're actually telling us any kind of truth. As a woman in this industry, how do you feel the NFL handles violence toward women, and are they still completely tone deaf?
I think they're completely tone deaf. I don't think that they do enough. I think that the minute that you hear that a player, I don't care if he's a star, I don't care if he's a practice squad player, the minute that you hear a player was involved in an incident with a woman, even if it's just a rumor, you need to do everything in your power to track down that story, to track down the video, to interview eyewitnesses. I mean, when you look at Deflategate, the amount of effort that went into that investigation, and it was over underinflated football.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that is not a life or death situation. When you have players that are rumored to be in these violent incidents with women, put as much effort as you put into figuring out if Tom Brady deflated footballs or whatever, into figuring out if this player harmed a woman, if this player put a woman's safety at risk. It's not hard. You know, if you're going to make, I think that there just needs to be more of an emphasis on investigating it and using whatever means you have to get to the bottom of it. And like you guys said, there's video. There will always be video. You can find it. Just you have people that have worked in law enforcement who work for the NFL. There are ways to get these things. So I think that they just need to do a better job, point blank, period.
If Kareem Hunt is honest about the situation and the severity of it from the start, do you think he's still wearing a Chiefs uniform?
You know, that's tough to say, and I don't know. I think that he would have a better chance of still wearing a Chiefs uniform just based on the way that the statement was worded, that they released him because he wasn't truthful. But I also think the fact that there's at least 3 incidents of violence in a 5-month period, potential for more, that's a thing that we're looking into right now just to see, because it seems like there's been a pattern established here, a really disturbing pattern. And if that's the case, if more things come to light, and even just with 3, I don't think he should be in a Chiefs uniform, and I don't think that, you know, he would be at the end of the day because of the video, because at the end of the day, people do react more to seeing violence on video because you can't ignore it and you can't try to explain it away. So I think the Chiefs' hands would have eventually been forced, but it may not have been quite as quick as it was on Friday.
Brooke, can the Chiefs get past this incident and stay on course for a trip to the Super Bowl?
You know, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult. The win at the Raiders was a close one, and it was supposed to be a blowout, you know, earlier in the week, and it just that is a tough place to play, and I know that there's a long rivalry history between those two teams, and it makes for really interesting games. But I think that game showed that this Chiefs offense is not the same without Kareem Hunt, and not only that, but the team chemistry is not the same without Kareem Hunt, because he's a guy that is just a part of the fabric of that locker room and of the offense. He's really close to Patrick Mahomes. Wherever Patrick went, Kareem went. They were on the field at the Sporting KC game last week together, and Kareem is not a soccer guy. He was there because Patrick was there. And so I think that that's a tough thing to try to replicate and to try to, fill that hole. And with the Super Bowl, there's so many intangibles of teams that go there, and one of them is really great team chemistry, and I think that took a major hit when he was released because of all these violent problems, because of the violence against women in the video that came out. So I don't feel as certain as I felt maybe a week ago that they were going to be able to make a deep playoff run and go to the Super Bowl.
Last one, Brooke. If there was video out when Tyreek Hill's incident took place back in Stillwater, do you think he'd be where he is today?
Absolutely not. I think that video changes everything. I don't think it should have to change everything, but like I said, it's easier to ignore it or sweep it under the rug when it's not right there in front of you. And I think if there was video of that incident, he would be untouchable, no matter how talented he is. And that's kind of what's being shown right now with Kareem Hunt. I don't know whether he ever plays in the NFL again. I think it may be a couple of years before he even makes a roster again, because I do think that he'll get another shot, but it'll be a long time, and I don't know that he necessarily deserves that at this point. Although, to Tyreek Hill's credit, he finished his probation, his record's been expunged, he has not even had a rumor of another issue, so he's someone that did benefit from a second chance and that is doing everything the right way, and it just, it's gonna, a lot will depend on how Kareem takes these next couple of steps as to, whether he has a future in this league.
Well, the NFL still has a lot of work to be done, and you do good work. Keep it up. We appreciate it as always, and I hope you feel better.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully next time I will not be coughing through this entire interview.
That's
hopefully
all right.
we won't be talking about this kind of release of a player either.
That too.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Brooke Pryor. She covers the Kansas City Chiefs with the Kansas City Star and joins us here on Helmets and Hills, built by Dream Finders Homes. Plenty of stuff for us to react to. I'd love to get you ladies to weigh in on the situation as well. We can do that in just a little bit. But we're going to get to this matchup with the Titans. I told you on a short week, you don't get to enjoy a victory for very long when you turn around and play on a Thursday. So we'll do that all when we return right after this.
Enter the 1010XL weekly
Finders.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problemo.
All right, here we go.
In the last 2 years, the Jaguars returned a punt for a touchdown, earning local families $100,000 towards a Dream Finders home. Lauren Brooks here, letting you know that could be you this season. Visit any Dream Finders Homes model and register to win the Take It to the House promotion for your chance at scoring $100,000 towards your Dream Finders home. And make it a point to visit Dream Finders Home's newest stadium home before the final home Jaguars game. Take a free tour and register for a chance to win amazing grand prizes. Dream Finders Homes will select one winner for that home game against the Redskins, only at Dream Finders Homes Stadium Home 2.0 by Gate 4 at TIAA Bank Field. Dream Finders Homes, homes built to fit your lifestyle.
When do y'all want to give away that jersey?
We can do it coming back here.
All right. Probably best to
take
do
a
it
caller.
right before we go to break.
Do what, sorry?
You want
Probably
to take
best to do it right before we go to break.
That's true, yeah, we can do it at the end of this segment.
You mean like caller number what?
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think, I mean, unless you want to do trivia,
No.
yeah, I was going to say, I think we can just do, if you just want to mention it, hey, we're going to talk Jaguars Titans and we're going to give away that jersey at the end of the segment or something, and then caller number, at the end we'll just do a caller number or whatever. If I knew what jersey number it was, I'd do that if it was a low jersey number, but I don't know. I have not seen them.
She was good.
Yeah,
really good.
I like her.
Yeah, she's solid.
I mean, you'd think a beat reporter is always going to be good, but because they've got good information, but they're not necessarily always good
on
on
radio.
radio.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, she's
Especially like when you're kind of part of the story, like as a woman fan of the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely be on the NFL roster though next season.
I think he will too.
I didn't know about the other two incidents.
Yeah, that just recently came out.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, he's not just violent he's violent toward everybody.
Yeah.
Well, apparently one of, and I'm not trying to condone it, but one of them, the guy was trying to bait him into a fight.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen that.
But it's also like, you are the one with everything to lose.
Yeah,
Right.
You have to be smarter.
Yeah.
But I have, and maybe I'll bring this up on it, but I have heard from a guy who's in the military, and he studies, I guess, concussions for the military, and he told me about these, not these micro, it's almost like micro concussions that cause athletes to snap and to just flip out like that. And they have these micro concussions on every single play because they're getting hit on. It's not one big hit.
Right.
It's all of them combined.
Yeah, combined. Yeah.
And that causes them to snap.
That's why.
And a lot of these guys are fucking pieces of shit.
Also that too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you have to remember the
Terrible
background
neighborhoods,
stories
they
for
grew up in
some.
terrible families.
Yeah.
That's how it is in sports.
Well, there was one lady who's tweeted us before. I said Friday morning, there's a big difference to me between a man who abuses the one woman that he's supposed to protect and a man getting into an altercation with a woman who's being aggressive. Like, to me, there's a completely different approach into how I feel about it.
Sure.
And, like, I think Tyreek Hill beating up his pregnant girlfriend is beyond reproach. This situation, yeah, he shouldn't have done it, but they were also, beating on their door, and he shouldn't have done it.
Spit on him, she called him an N-word, right?
But like you're engaging him in aggressive behavior. There's to me that's different, and I don't know what the pregnant chick was doing, but I don't care. She's pregnant.
Yeah.
But so Janet, who I think it was Janet, no, it was the other one. Little Grandma tweeted to me, I agree completely. Several decades ago, I was not survived a violent marriage. I was a fist-flinging, full participation wife. There is a difference. So it's interesting to hear.
Man, little grandma.
Right?
Wait,
It
she was what now?
She was in a marriage where they were both hitting each
Oh.
other. And she's saying there's a difference between that and a man abusing a woman. So I just found that interesting.
It's just, it's so complex, and
Sure.
when our own country doesn't know, or our own police investigative systems don't know how to investigate this, I hate the fact that we rely on the NFL to properly investigate this stuff.
Right, and I think the NFL is full of shit if they think that making women cut jerseys and doing pink for Oktoberfest is enough to say, oh, look, we care about the women fan, because they know that more of the fans these days are women, and women are more involved, and it's a whole lot more money for them. It's another
46% of the fan base.
Yeah, so don't insult us, and don't, because this is not okay, and you're not doing your job in investigating these guys, because you'd rather not lose out on the money that's to be gained if Kareem Hunt, the Kansas City Chiefs go and do, it's one big.
Well, the worst part is, like Brooke said, people are like, but she hit him too, and I mean, I think there's a difference, but
when Joe Mixon tape came out,
fans just
the same
want
people
that
lost their
player on
mind.
their team. Fans just like, hey, we don't care, we just want to win.
When the Joe Mixon tape came out, I don't know if you guys ever saw it. You can find it, and it's horrible. It's an alteration where she's with a friend.
Thank you.
And he insults the
that's the one where it was in the restaurant.
Says the N-word, and then she pushes him.
Yeah.
And then even like he put and slapped, and then
she had to have her jaw wired shut, I think.
He broke her orbital bone. Yeah, I mean it's like he didn't kill her. Anyway, you fans were like, yeah, but did you see which? And it's like tone deaf.
Built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. In a minute, we will be giving away a wonderful, authentic, on-the-field jersey. Just meant for you, woman. Just you. Just for
Girls
the ladies
only.
out there. I love it. I've seen it, which I should be
What
holding
color
up.
is it?
Teal.
Okay.
I should
Just checking.
I'll bring it in during next break and show it up to the video for anybody that's watching. Teal, it is number 20. at least the one that I have seen. However, on the back it says Guggenella, because we're the Guggens, and then the men are apparently the Guggens, and the women are the Guggenellas. So I enjoy that one. So you'll have a chance to win that, so stay tuned. Let's get back to the Kareem Hunt. We did just have Brooke Pryor from the Kansas City Star on to talk about that, as she obviously has more knowledge since she is right there with him. But what was your first reaction when you saw it? Because personally, mine, I had to watch, and I'm sitting here watching it again. I had to watch it a few times because I do not like that you want to try to compare it to Ray Rice. This is in no way Ray Rice. I mean, he flat out knocked her out. That was
his fiance.
That was ridiculous. That's a hard video to watch. This one, you're kind of trying to figure it out. And I'm wondering if people make such a big mess out of this, if he doesn't kick her at the end. If he doesn't kick her at the end, it looks more of just a shoving match to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, like Brooke said, the kick at the end is that gut punch. Because this is the worst part about watching that video to me, Donna, because we've seen way worse videos, aka Ray Rice.
Right.
We've become desensitized
Joe Mixon.
to it.
We're looking for that that moment that is going to crush you. And in this one it was, oh, this isn't that bad. Oh, and at the end, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. That's the worst part about it. It's like when we talk about the mass shootings is eventually you go, oh yeah, there was another one, and you move on, and you don't stop and go, I can't believe this is still happening. And these players, we are, I think, able to hold them in a different light than we do everyone else, because they have a platform that they can use, like My Cause, My Cleats, to reach kids who are in situations that they may have been in growing up, where they didn't have necessarily mom, dad, stable household, and great school, and no violence around them. They may have grown up in bad situations. So, and I understand that can tend to lead you to a bad situation. But if you're able to escape that and you make it to this profession, which is the NFL, it makes me sad that they are not showing kids, hey, if you are able to succeed, you then can treat everyone with respect and dignity, including women who are screaming bad things at you. All he had to do was go back in the room, shut the door, call the hotel security, and he's still a member of the Chiefs. And yes, these other incidents that he's allegedly involved in, the other two fighting videos, but stop me whenever we've had a guy kicked out of the league for fighting another guy. It doesn't happen. Dante Fowler Jr. ripped liquor out of a guy, shoved him, broke his glasses, had absolutely no problem playing, right? Yeah, was suspended for a game maybe, but was certainly not kicked out of the league. So nothing was going to happen if he had just avoided fighting back against that chick. And those chicks, I guess, there was multiple. I'm not saying he should ever have been in that situation. In the first place, he should have removed himself, but he really could have physically removed himself, and again, he would still be earning a paycheck.
In this situation, Kareem Hunt has everything to lose. These other random girls have nothing to lose by pursuing this altercation. And in a situation, I almost wonder, as far as like the NFL is concerned, they're so reactive instead of proactive. And we were talking about this a little bit in the break, that I have a military friend who specializes in concussion studies, especially when it comes to the military. And when it comes to the NFL, he mentioned to me that there are several micro concussions that players have on a regular basis, and it causes them to snap. And I almost wonder if the NFL could be more proactive when it comes to, or use situations like this as a reason to become more proactive, in that they offer counseling, they offer a regular mental health evaluation of their players so that they know how to control their emotions when they're put in situations like this, so they don't escalate into like what we saw, with this February video.
You're right on, but you're giving the NFL way too much credit. They didn't even care enough to ask for the damn video.
Well, that's the thing. I think they wanted to be ignorant about it.
No, and yes, and so that this plan that is a great one, and one that maybe would stop future incidents like this or help prevent them or whatever. The NFL is so completely tone deaf, because out of one ear they're saying, buy the female cut jerseys. We know that our fan base there's a huge portion of our fan base is women, and pink for breast cancer, and this, that, and the other, and we're going to market toward women. But oh, by the way, when there's an incident where one of our star players, because the NFL, I say our, because the NFL, that's one of their players, is reported to have assaulted, or I don't even know what the proper term is, been violent toward a woman, I'll just blanket it with that, they don't get off their ass to do anything. And then TMZ, who people give a lot of crap for because they tend to be the gossipy TV version of a gossipy magazine, go, no, we're going to follow up on this. It makes them look even worse. What are they trying to do? Do they want us to be tone deaf? And this consumerism of women who consume this product, and we're included in that, to just go, oh, it's okay, and disregard it and say, well, he didn't hit her as hard as Ray Rice hit his wife, and it's okay. It's not okay. None of it is okay. But what's not okay is this. More importantly, they can't control what these guys do, but they can control the way it's handled, and they have failed once again.
Well, and if the NFL looks up, they realize TMZ is able to get.
They don't want to know. Yes, videos, and they know. Don't. Yeah.
But they should hire a person or a department at TMZ and say, the moment you hear something about one of our players, you send us that video as soon as you can, and that way they can handle it before it becomes this, which Friday was an unmitigated disaster.
They did not even talk to Kareem Hunt or the woman. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, I read that too.
You don't even have to. You didn't even talk to them. What?
But what's the incentive for the NFL to pursue this?
To avoid the media disaster.
But as a media disaster that it is now, are any of us at the table going to stop watching football?
No.
No.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's record ratings this season.
It's this false cause that I will sit here and yell about and get upset about. But you're right. I'll still talk about the NFL. I'll still pay attention to it. But
so what's their incentive to pursue it?
Just
be
held accountable. That's a great question.
I wonder if
they're going to stop going to games and stop consuming the product. Sure,
and I wonder how many of these events that we don't know about.
Oh, absolutely, that have happened. I'll say this much. Thank God for video. Thank God that these guys are dumb enough to do this stuff where in public places, and the ones that we know of, and that where it gets caught, because the lying and not being truthful gets exposed immediately when there's video, and usually the outcry and the pushback is a lot more when you actually see versus just hearing about it or reading about it.
Yeah. Hopefully their motivation is to guide these guys to be better men. I say hopefully because the NFL is a business, and so morals and ethics is probably not at the top of their list. But that's what I hope. I hope in order for Roger Goodell to lay his head on his pillow at night, he says, all right, we've got an incident here. How can we make this situation better for all involved? But it doesn't seem like that is the prognosis or the idea behind it, because if I'm Roger Goodell, I do try to get a hold of both of them, or at least have someone in my office try to get a hold of both of them and try and figure it all out. Just like what would happen if there was an incident at any other company. Someone would investigate, they'd talk to the people, but I hope that we don't get to a point, and I know this is my naivety, but I hope we don't get to a point where a CEO says, I don't care what my employee does because he's making the most amount of money.
Happens all the time.
Regardless if people are being murdered, being raped, being physically abused.
Happens all the time in every industry.
How do we not hold, though, this hotel a little accountable? They have this video. Whoever the security guard is know what's going on, and they waited and were like,
legally,
I'm going to get top dollar.
Well,
I'm going to get top dollar for this video. I don't care who wants to pay it. I'm going to get top dollar.
That's probably how it got. TMZ
that's
got
the
the
reason
tip.
why it came out. Yeah. Somebody finally.
So they waited till
9
TMZ.
months.
Ponied up.
They probably shopped it to a few different spots, and TMZ bought it.
Right. Like, how do you not, like, look at whoever that person is behind, I got video. You know, who's that person not being like, hey, the NFL, you want to pay for this?
Sure. The question is, if TMZ can get a hold of it, why couldn't the NFL or the Chiefs? And the answer is,
because you have
if
to pay.
if they're not requesting it in the first place, which records are now showing that they didn't request it.
They got to set aside a budget. You're a $1 billion organization, and a lot is riding on these kinds of decisions. You have to be more proactive instead of reactive, and they've proven time and time again that they are not going to.
They don't want to know. Yeah.
All right, well, let's end on a happier note in
do
this
it.
segment. Let's go ahead and make another Guganella very happy.
Let's do it.
Let's have you go ahead and call in, not text us.
That's right.
Call in 641-1010, 641-1010. Caller number 3, because I like the number 3.
And again, it's a jersey for a female.
Yes.
So if a guy wants to call in to give it to a female, that's perfectly fine.
It is a
But
great
it is
Christmas
It
gift.
is a female-sized jersey. If you
Yes.
don't want to win a
size
female,
it is. It's a female cut.
a female cut.
if you don't want to win a female one, that's fine.
I'll go
We're
get
giving
it.
away the other ones throughout other shows.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, this one 641-1010. The phones are lighting up, so we are going to make Agugana very happy. When we come back, we are going to continue the Jaguars talk a little Jaguars Titans. That is Ashlyn Sullivan joins us from Jaguars.com. We are going to talk about a little bit of Tennessee hate as well. That's all next. You'll listen to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL. Where I was going there.
It's all right.
Came up with Tennessee hate at the last second, so I was like, wait.
Is it Tennessee Hate?
I meant to say.
It is
I thought that was the name of a band.
Oh no, I was going to say Daily Place. I had all these things I could have
Why
said.
can't we just be called Googans, not Googanellas?
And the last
We don't
name.
want to be a Guggen. We want to be a Guggenella.
I just wanted to say Ramsey, to be honest.
Do you have a jersey?
No,
No?
I'm not a Jersey person.
But that's nice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very nice.
And a phone number?
We got a winner.
I like the
hope it
t-shirts.
fits
I don't
that
like jerseys.
What was I
Jerseys
about
are
to say?
hot.
Yeah,
And they're like
no.
$100 for
Yeah.
a jersey.
If you're from up north and you want to wear like a long sleeve shirt and then a jersey and be
Keep you
warm,
warm.
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick a player that is definitely going to stay in your franchise for at least 10 years to make it worth that.
All right, you know where we're located at?
Like a Brady jersey.
That's why I only get t-shirts.
All right.
Yeah.
And
Brady
the only-
jersey,
Have,
fine.
somebody up
I
front.
have, I was, a boyfriend at the time bought me a Maurice Jones-Drew jersey. I've never worn it.
I will.
But I do have a
Brady
couple of the
jersey.
t-shirts.
I've worn it.
Since next up, we already have one.
But it's
Next up, we already have one.
it's not like the it's much lighter than the
Hey, Lauren, can I get
Regular.
an all-throw roofing?
yeah, hang on 2 seconds.
You got 30 seconds.
Alright, then I can do it.
Okay. Since next up, we already have one. 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 Well, there you go. Sounds great. Good stuff. Alright, 10 seconds.
Alright, thank you. We've gotten a lot of rain recently, so if you discovered that your roof has a leak, or if you realized you need a whole new roof, contact my friends at All Pro Roofing and Consulting, who have over 25 years of experience. Lauren Brooks here, and when it comes to hiring a roofer, you want one who won't require any upfront deposits, and one who is not going to sub out their crews. You won't find a more solid company than All Pro Roofing and Consulting, a family-owned company and a part of the Lloyd's family of businesses. You can find them online at allproroofingllc.com. That's allproroofingllc.com.
Since next up, we already have one. Since next up, we
Sorry,
already have
people.
one. Since next up, we already have one. Our winner is Larry. Larry's wife is our real winner.
Very
Okay.
nice. What's Larry's
Where's-
wife's name?
yeah, did
I don't know.
Come on, JJ.
He said it was for her.
It's probably a
Or
Christmas
maybe he
present.
just likes women's clothing.
Well, it's
But
all right.
Larry didn't strike me
We
as that
don't.
kind of guy.
We don't discriminate.
Aw, good job, Doug.
I went and ate at
Restaurant?
yeah, what's it called? The burrito? No,
Burrito Gallery?
Bar burritos? Next door to the nail
Yes,
place?
yes.
Okay.
I hadn't been there before. I liked it.
It's
Yeah,
really good.
I had a bowl. It was good.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
good.
All right.
They do catering too. So if you guys ever need an office catering,
Oh.
really good.
Is
food.
it good? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I was happy with what I had. It didn't. The chicken, like, I will refrain from naming other places so that I cannot be prosecuted for doing so. But there are certain places that are similar to that. That the chicken is like weird and salty.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Smells.
and it was all white meat, and it was really good. I didn't feel like it was like gross. Nothing felt
Yeah,
gross.
no, I like that place. And they have the light lemonade, which I really enjoy.
Light lemonade.
Yeah.
I didn't like in the
Minute
fountain
Maid.
machine.
Yeah. in
Oh,
the
you like
fountain
that
machine.
stuff? I didn't think anybody drank that.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
I don't like.
What makes it
Is
light?
that
You like
the-
Chick-fil-A
the
lemonade?
sugar and no, I won't drink anything other than light because of sugar and calories.
The diet lemonade though is made with Splenda in it. It's real lemons.
Oh, maybe I've had that once before. I don't know.
Oh, Rose, I can't believe you drink that.
I don't usually. Oh, JJ, those phones are lighting up.
I know, what the hell?
They want the prize.
The second round.
Yeah. There they go again.
Well, that's me.
Oh. I love that he misspelled heels.
Ashlyn, what's up?
Yo,
I'm
yo.
good.
I guess we're gonna get the
Congratulations on the win.
preview in with this one.
Yeah. I'll put it
We
together.
can do some here, and then we can also do some in the final segment. I don't know that those last two are necessarily going to take all that long. I had
Those
a
aren't
feeling we
time
wouldn't
sensitive.
get to.
Oh, well, the one is, but not.
I had a feeling we wouldn't get to everything in the first segment that I put in there, and we did not. Like we didn't even get to have you
30
experience a
seconds.
win. Okay, thank you. A win that made you mad. And then obviously we haven't even gotten to Jaguars Titans, and then we haven't gotten to Donna's.
Here you go. To give to Frank.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'll just put it in this box. Perfect. We didn't get to
Taylor asked me.
City. We didn't get to the 9-year-old girl. We haven't gotten to a lot, so that's perfectly fine by me. We can shove it all later.
Alright,
Yeah.
here we go.
Built by Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. Donna Murphy, Blythe Brumleve, Lauren Rue, and Lauren Brooks with you on this Tuesday evening. If you are looking for the JU basketball game, that will be over on 10 a.m. as we broadcast to you on 92.5 FM for the next hour. We welcome now in Ashlyn Sullivan from Jaguars.com. Ashlyn, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are fantastic, thanks. All right, now normally we start with Jaguars talk, but I am so incredibly excited about this Kenny Chesney concert, and you mentioned that you have pre-sale information, so let's go ahead and knock out this dose of Daly's Place. Please tell me, how do people get the pre-sale that goes on sale tomorrow? Basically, tell me how I get that information, please.
Yes, so pre-sale goes on tomorrow on the website, but the actual tickets don't go on sale until Friday at 10 a.m. And they're expected to sell out fast, of course, but the only way to guarantee that you're going to get a ticket for Kenny Chesney is to join Daly's Place Blue, which is an annual membership where you get newsletters and stuff like that. If you go to the Daly's Place website and click on premium seating, you can find the program details. So subscribe to that. That way you're guaranteed a Kenny Chesney ticket, but that's the only way to guarantee that you get a ticket because they're expected to sell out very, very quickly.
Okay, so dailysplace.com, then under premium seating, you click on Daly's Place Blue. I just clicked on it, and now I'm checking out of the segment so that I can go ahead and sign up. No, I'm just kidding. Also, can you give us an update on the Rolling Stones tickets?
Yes, so the Rolling Stones tickets obviously are selling very well, like everyone thought they would. Over 37,000 tickets already sold. That's
Wow.
over 50% already sold. That was even quicker than they expected. So 50% of tickets still left. 37,000 already.
Jeez.
Well, well done.
2 of those are snagged up by my mom and her boyfriend who are coming into town.
Very
So,
nice.
Good for them.
yes, they're
We're a
excited.
destination.
That's exactly. She sent me a text and said, please reserve my room at your house for the April 21st to the 25th. We're coming to the Rolling Stones concert. So
On the
Free
counter.
lodging.
Yeah,
yes.
those are really good ones. Really good ones. All right, let's get into a little Jaguars talk. Cody Kessler got his first start. How did you think he played?
I think he did his job. I didn't think any of us expected for him to ball out and play out of control and have over 200 passing yards. He was asked to protect the football. He was asked to control the game. I think he saw how well the defense was playing and was a little hesitant, didn't want to mess it up, for lack of a better term. There were some shots downfield that I think he was hesitant on taking because he didn't want to throw a pick and get the defense back on the field and basically screw up the lead that they had the entire game. So from talking to people, he played okay. You know, he did his job. He protected the football, but this week they're asking him to play more aggressive, take more shots downfield, throw more passes, kind of do more game management, if you will.
would the result have been any different, say, if Blake Bortles had been in that game, Ashlyn?
I think he would have been asked to do the exact same thing, which is protect the football. I don't think it would have been a different result because no matter how much that defense was on the field, maybe if Blake even didn't protect the football and had a few turnovers, that defense was so dominant and so focused. I think no matter how they got on the field, they were going to stop the Colts no matter what, no matter how many drives it was.
Speaking of Blake, how has he responded to Kessler's start, both leading up to and following Sunday's game?
I've been really, really impressed with him. Last week when he spoke in the locker room, he was honest. He put the blame on himself, was humble, and said, that I didn't play well enough to be the starting quarterback. He seemed accepting of the fact that everyone had said, I didn't do my job. I've been really impressed with him, and it seems like he's still really helping out Cody Kessler and Tanner Lee. I know they've had a great relationship ever since Cody got into the building, and even before that, they trained in California every offseason together. So it seems like no surprise, Blake has been a team player, and if every guy could be like Blake Bortles in the locker room, it would be a great locker room. He's a great person off the field, and he's been very accepting of the fact that he didn't do his job well enough to keep it this season.
Ashlyn, I think the best move all year for the Jags has been the strutting that Josh Lambo did behind you in your live shot. How much did you love that?
It was funny. It's funny. Josh is so focused and he's so great on the field, but there's a lot of times where he just does his own thing. He'll talk to me. He'll talk to Alex Brooks on the sideline because we're normally together off to the side where he's warming up. He has fun with it. He really enjoys football. He loves the game. He loves joking around. He was putting bunny ears behind Alex Brooks, who films my stand-up. It's just one moment captured of many things that he does on game day.
It is a short week, but good news for the Jaguars offense. Running back Leonard Fournette is back in the lineup. How excited is he to get back on the field, Ashlyn?
He is. He was talking about it today in the locker room that it was really hurtful for him to have to watch the game at home and watch the offense struggle without him. And he said he wished he could have helped. He would have been out there getting more rushing yards. He said the offense seemed to really struggle without him. And the biggest thing he said is he wished he could have been there for Cody Kessler. He said he talked to him on Monday when he got back, and Cody said that he was a little nervous and that Leonard Fournette felt like it was on him that he was nervous because he wasn't out there, whereas Cody probably would have been a little more confident if he had Leonard Fournette to hand the ball off to. So I think he's very excited to get back. The positive of him being suspended a week is that because of this short week, a lot of guys are banged up. It's hard to get your body ready to play Thursday night football when you played on Sunday, but not for Leonard Fournette. He didn't get banged up on Sunday. So if there's one positive of him getting suspended before a short week, it's that his body is definitely ready to go.
You think they make it 2 in a row with this short turnaround with the trip to the Titans?
It's going to be tough, meaning we know that the Titans have their number, and for some reason they can't figure out Marcus Mariota. He just figures out a way to scramble on third down and get extra yardage. Telvin Smith said today that he's a confusing guy to figure out, but I think they're going to go in with a lot of motivation. They seem to like the short week. They like playing under the lights. I think they can get it done. They got to snap this Titans losing streak at some point, so I'm hoping it's Thursday.
What's the sense in the locker room after Sunday's win? Is there more of a sigh of relief, I guess, a sense of optimism for the rest of the season? What's the feeling like in the locker room?
It was interesting. I really thought going in there that it was going to be really joyful and everyone was going to be all excited, but it was more so, I think Telvin Smith said it best. He looked at us all and he said, I told you guys, I told you this was going to happen. They just seemed so confident that they knew they were playing at a high level this whole time and just couldn't figure out a few things, a few plays. It just seemed like it solidified what they had been saying, the 7-game losing streak, that they were going to figure it out, that it was a few busted coverages or the offense not playing up to par, that they were going to figure out the issues. And it was more so like they were telling us, like, I told you so. Like, I told you that we were going to figure it out, and here we are. We did it.
Ashlyn, Thursday night, Jaguars, Titans. Any expectations for what Jarrell Casey is going to say or do?
This guy.
Oh, gosh. Yes, we know that was quite the remarks last offseason. It seems like a few reporters were trying to pry some comments today about, the rivalry, and is it bigger because it's the Titans and you hate them more? And the Jaguars were not biting. They all had a laser focus that it's just one game at a time, one more win. They need to get another win. I don't know, because it's just this rivalry, and that's what makes it special. I'm sure there'll be a few comments. I mean, you can't think that it's going to be all nice out there.
Who wins the game on Thursday night?
I think the Jaguars get it done. I think they come back with a win. I think it's really dependent on the defense yet again, though. If they can play anywhere close to what they played on Sunday, they can stop the Titans as well, because the Titans' offense isn't that scary. Derrick Henry, their running back, isn't running like everyone expects him to run. They don't have a lot of weapons. It's all on Marcus Mariota. And a lot of it's on Telvin Smith and Miles Jack and the defensive line to stop him because they could not stop him. So we saw them week 3.
All right, Ashlyn, thanks so much for joining us. And hopefully when you join us next Tuesday, we will be a few days removed from a Jaguars victory over the rival Titans.
Let's hope so. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. That is Ashlyn Sullivan from Jaguars.com, digital reporter and host. We had a giveaway just a few minutes ago with a Jaguars authentic jersey. Congratulations to Larry, who won that for his wife. But that's not our only giveaway of the evening. JJ, take it away. Great song choice. And a great band coming to Daly's Place in 2019. If you want to win tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel, text into the 1010XL text line driven by Duval, Ford 641-1010. The first person to get either the name of the artist or the name of the song that JJ so carefully selected will win tonight's Peterbrook Chocolate Heel.
Over-under on YouTube hits.
How many this song gets?
Like the official video.
Ooh, 2.5 million.
Oh, I would go way over, 100 million.
Yeah.
Really?
175 million.
Okay, yeah. I would guess a lot.
Is this Tennessee hate? I was kidding. That was a playoff of when you took us to break and you said, and we'll talk about
yes,
Tennessee hate.
We are going to talk a little Tennessee hate, absolutely.
I thought that was the name of a band coming to Daly's Place.
Oh, yeah, no, it's Tennessee Hate Week.
That joke went over.
I know.
Yeah, I did mine too.
Really,
I was thinking,
it went over so much better.
Well, I was about to say the name of the band because I was trying to say, how does that relate to Tennessee?
Yes, and then you would have given it away.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I would have ruined the whole thing. Yeah. Blythe, you hate the Titans on a scale of film
12.
like 1 to 10.
12.
12. Okay.
12.
Yeah,
I
can't
thought-
stand them.
It's
I thought it was going to be like
organization
12,000
to
or 12 million.
And it's just last year's game too. The Mariota stiff arm against, I think it was Miles Jack that he stiff armed, and it's just a brutal loss. What have we lost? We are 0-4 in the last 4 meetups in Nissan Stadium. So it's one of those things where I don't know why they're a thorn in our sides, but they always have been, and it just feels like they always will be. Like when the Colts come to town, when the Texans come to town, it doesn't really faze me that much. When the Titans come to town or the Steelers come to town, that to me are our rivals.
Well, and the Titans' losses last year, yes, the Titans swept the Jaguars. But they didn't bother me that much because the Jaguars went on to win the division. So, yeah, you can talk your smack and Jaguars.
Yeah, but this year.
Casey Trash Can. But this year, the Titans exposed the Jaguars' lack of offense sandwiched in between an excellent offensive victory against the Patriots and an excellent offensive performance against the Jets. Yet there was this Titans, and if we had looked closer into the matter and not just said, oh, it was one game, we obviously would have realized that was foreshadowing what was to come. And
overconfidence.
This year, that 9-6 loss to the Titans, I think stings way more than either of the ones last year. All right, the Jaguars are practicing sort of already this week. It's not an exact normal practice, but they are back on the practice fields a little bit. So there is a little bit more injury news to report than we usually have. So Lauren, tell us what's the latest.
The personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah present this injury update. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family since 1979.
Well, according to the email I just got,
yes,
this comes with an asterisk, which is a really hard word to say. I probably just screwed it up. Asterisk, whoever's. Estimated injury report, team did not conduct a formal practice. So this says, hey, this is our best guess because it wasn't a formal practice. This is not a formal injury report. Listed for the Jaguars, but were full participants today was Trey Herndon, Quentin Meeks, and Laurenti McCray. Jalen Ramsey, Cody Davis, Josh Walker, Jeremy Parnell, and Calais Campbell all listed and limited as far as that non-formal practice went, and DJ Chark and Avery Jones did not practice at all.
Yeah, something tells me DJ Chark is going to be out again Thursday night, if not for longer. I'm wondering at this point if he maybe should be or should have been placed on IR. I guess it was just them being hopeful. But if he's not practicing at all still, it does seem like that quadriceps injury is going to plague him for a while. All right, we have several topics to get to, one of which is cities to visit, and another is a 9-year-old girl that requested some information from Steph Curry, and he let her know that he would help her out. So we're going to tell you that story and more. You're listening to Humps and Heels, built by Dream Fenders Homes on 92.5 FM.
So my husband just sent me that picture.
I see that. Does she really sleep like that?
Yeah,
I meant to
isn't
say
that
TV
creepy as
page.
hell?
Huh,
Wait,
yeah.
what? I
What
didn't
picture?
see that.
She sleeps with
She's
her eyes
asleep.
kind of open.
She's fast asleep. She does this all the time. She's just looking at you. I'm like,
Does the doctor know that? Is that like a thing to be worried
I
about?
don't know. I haven't asked yet. Usually it's just one eye, which is even worse. One eye is just flat out closed. The other one's just kind of like looking at you like
Kelly Bryant's going to Missouri.
Weird
I thought he was
one.
going to Arkansas.
She's so weird.
It's almost like when somebody dies and they go over and they close their eyes for them.
Right?
Can you do that? Can you like close
haven't
their eyes
tried.
for her?
I just look at her
Let me
like,
save you, honey.
I don't know, but I kind of get her. I already gave her our, what do we call it, the resting bitch face? Yeah, she has
RBF.
that. She looks at you.
Oh, there she is. Oh my goodness, she can't be asleep.
That's how she sleeps.
All the time like that?
The majority.
She
Unless
doesn't
she's
want to miss anything.
unless she's in her crib in her room.
Hello.
Hi.
You on break now?
Yeah, we're on break. Is she in your room?
10 miles away.
In this
No, this is in the living room.
living room? Okay.
Yeah, this is our little kind of travel crib. It's like a smaller version of a travel crib.
Okay. Is she sleeping better?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah.
Do you think she's getting worn out because she's at daycare? I mean, it's only been 2 days.
No, it was like 2 days before.
Oh, okay.
So it was like Saturday night. She slept
Oh, that's not bad. $100 is nothing.
from 6 till 5.
Okay.
Free breakfast.
So I'm like, sweet. But then I got angry because I got too much sleep. I wasn't used to that.
Then he's driving back.
Hugh Freeze do something violent?
No, Hugh Freeze was the escort service.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think that's worse than what Kareem Hunt did. but-
Again, there we go with, oh well.
Well, somebody was like,
Brent said Kaylee still does.
Really?
Brent knows that Kaylee still
That's
does.
funny.
By the way, I don't
my
know how
God.
joint is, so
That's expensive.
Common hair dye causes women's faces to swell.
like a light.
That's what this other chick's tweet was. Like a light A.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Oh, wow.
Okay, what is the hair
What's
dye?
the ingredient?
We're about to find out.
Dun dun dun.
Holy hell.
And then it's a story of, oh, it's my own mixture of, you know.
Is it Le Parisian?
Can't,
No, wait.
can't expect that.
Yeah. We got like 20, almost 25.
You know what they used to do when I was a kid? They had
Apparently it
all
happens
on
in
fucking-
France.
or like Sunday, but they would play them at like 9 in the morning. The next one play it right when it was done. Next one play it right when it was done. And so like the 8A would be like the night games.
Yeah.
But like those shitty small, like they'd be like 9 a.m. kickoff.
But you can start with the TV
They're still
thing.
doing that?
I was just going back to what we...
Yeah, I figured we would
didn't
hit
get to
that
yet.
those eventually.
Yeah.
University Christian played last year, and they played like 10.
That's so funny. I saw that on Twitter. I was like, what?
Which part? Oh.
Yours.
Oh.
Your tweet, like, oh.
I've got
A lot of people agreed with me though.
interview with Bobby Ramsey last night.
Well, I mean, that's nothing new that
Can't find the
I'm
name
kind
of
of an
this.
outsider. I'm fine with that one.
Oh, really?
Does anybody else love I Love Lucy? No, I'm in the minority there too.
I got a good one for this that
Big
I'll probably
surprise.
get freaking roasted for, but
I don't know if we're gonna
I'll
do
die
it.
on that hill if I have to.
The Miami guy.
Some
like
hills are worth
cats.
dying on.
Sometimes
Oh,
you just
no,
gotta
I'm
own
I'm
it.
gonna get him. I just texted him tonight, see if he can do it tomorrow, because Tom's out tomorrow, so I'm gonna like use his production like all day. Do interviews, not all day, but for
They're in Miami.
yeah, they're.
I'm in day 2 of
running
my.
back got an offer.
Have you seen the new Tomb Raider?
Dude, I was
Yeah.
thinking all day, and now that
That is my girl crush.
Yeah.
I am in love with her.
I thought she did great.
Is it a show or a
That'd be
movie?
awesome.
Yeah.
A video game too.
With Angelina?
No.
No.
Oh, wait,
it's
she
new
was Tomb
chick.
Raider 1?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Did I make that up?
She was
Okay.
well. She's the first two, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's a new chick that
Oh,
now.
okay.
There
Gotcha.
never should have been a 2. I don't think.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the first one was. They're not cinematic masterpieces, but I do like the direction of the most recent one because
Yes.
at the very spoiler alert, at the very end,
Yes.
you think that like the guy's gonna come in and save her, and it's like, oh, what the hell?
Right.
And then she ends up. And I was like, oh, good.
All
Okay,
right,
good.
30 seconds.
It's very empowering of women type, which is great. But I love.
Yeah.
Dan put up.
So I'm doing the Tomb Raider work.
Oh, that's
Supposed
cool.
to be
Because she's so just. She's muscular.
like
She's
onus
fit.
on someone, the burden on
And yeah,
someone.
How you
she's
spell onus?
killer.
No,
No?
it's not.
Okay. I've never even used that term.
Yeah.
Put the onus on somebody?
Yeah, to put
My
the
boyfriend didn't
onus
care
on
Put the
for
bad
movie, but I
mojo on
liked it.
somebody.
I was like, well, you're not the target audience.
Right. I think us women are.
Yeah.
It's
All right, here we go.
geared towards us women.
Right.
For a action movie. Man, she's so creepy.
Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels built by Dreamfinders Homes, joined alongside the two Laurens and Donna. And I sent out a little tweet last night because Netflix made the announcement that they are getting rid of the TV show Friends. It aired for,
But
I
they're
think,
not.
more than a decade. Yeah,
Right.
based off of the outcry, they did change their mind.
Okay.
So they were, the initial news was that they were getting rid of this franchise off of their platforms and no longer renewing it starting January 1st. So a lot of people were very upset about it on Twitter. And I was happy about it because I said it's a terrible show and it would force you to watch better entertainment options. And Donna took offense to that tweet because she apparently loves terrible TV shows. And it got us to ask, what TV shows do you hate that other people love and vice versa? Terrible.
I love that. My husband bought me the box set.
Oh, boy.
Ages ago. I love this show, and I just recently started watching it again. And you forget how funny Joey is, man. You just
No,
laugh
he's
at
not.
how
No, he
He's
was
never has
on
been
me.
funny.
No, I'm yeah, he was like obnoxious.
Oh, I love
Sing it,
every
JJ.
bit of it. And if you didn't have the Rachel haircut, you know,
No,
you
that's
weren't
what's
part of
up.
the crew.
Yeah.
She's the only one who's had a career after the show has ended.
No, Ross.
Ross is the
Have
worst.
you never seen Cougar Town? I mean,
That
that's
was so bad.
Dude,
I
Cougar
repeat.
Town was great, man.
Have you not seen Scream?
Jennifer Aniston is only the
Scream,
one who's had a
1, 2,
career.
3, 4. Yeah.
That was about 20 years
But she
ago.
did have
Who?
they killed her, right?
Who?
Courtney Cox?
No,
And
she's
Scream?
in the sequel.
Oh, for God's sakes. They
Ross
should've
is
killed her.
on the new version of Will and Grace now. He is
Oh, that's
Grace's
another
boyfriend.
terrible show that I'll never ever watch.
I have
Okay,
quick
well, there's
breaking
another one of my favorites.
college football news in the midst of the TV talk. Former Clemson quarterback Kelly Bryant. Everyone thought that he was going to transfer from Clemson to Arkansas. He's actually going to Missouri. Very interesting development. Can now continue.
Okay, TV shows.
I love holiday baking shows. I'm obsessed with the holiday baking shows. Anybody? No.
Nope.
I watch
I
no,
like
but
the one
I
with Bobby Flay now. Have you? Doesn't he have like a
He has a-
special holiday one?
I don't. I
He
know.
does.
I know
I've
he
seen
has
it.
beat Bobby Flay, which I enjoy that too. But and
like
I don't
those.
cook. I bake, but I don't cook a lick. But I love me some of these holiday baking shows.
Okay, well, what about a
Inspired
hate?
you to bake holiday goodies?
No.
Okay.
Just inspires me to watch other people
Watch other
bake.
people do it.
There
yeah.
is I've heard over the past like 6 to 12 months, there has been a dramatic rise in baking shows, both here in the U.S. and the UK. I don't know what's going on with people,
really?
but they just like to watch baking shows, and now
Huh.
there's like a splurge of them.
They give you 5 hours to make a whole masterpiece of a wedding cake. Tears and tears, and you're like, how do you do that?
But what show do you hate that other people like?
I
Like your guilty pleasure. That's
I
probably
hate
embarrassing
any
to know.
kind of bachelor, bachelorette in paradise.
Yeah, I
any
don't watch
kind
any
of
of
that
those.
Yeah.
crap that I know Hicken talks about every freaking day.
He doesn't talk about it every day.
I can't
but
stand
when
those
it's on,
shows.
yes, then he talks.
All right, what about you, ladies?
So I have one that is not a popular opinion, and I will die on this hill and stand by it forever and ever. Amen. I don't hate this show, but I think it's overrated. Breaking Bad. I thought Breaking Bad was over freaking rated. People like the cult following, my old partner back in Oklahoma that I did the show with would go, and he could not believe I thought this because he like was obsessed with it and went back and would rewatch it. And I'm like, no, it really wasn't that good in my eyes. Now, I'm going to counter that with something I'm not exactly proud of, but when I was a stay-at-home mom with my first child, I got hooked on reruns of ER, and I loved it. And it was like if it were on, I would flip, and it was a show I would stay on. So anyway.
The show that I hate, I don't think any of y'all are necessarily going to fall in this category, but lots of women love those Real Housewives shows.
Yeah.
Those, I figured, probably don't do it for y'all, but for some people, they are like religious about watching them. They know all the different women.
I have a lot of girlfriends who watch them.
Yeah, I can't stand that type of infighting and drama, and they try to stir it up on purpose, and they don't really live real lives, right? Because that's the whole part, is that they're just these really wealthy kind of socialites, and they kind of drive me crazy. And then, I can't remember the name of the show.
To be fair, real life is boring.
Yeah, that's a very good point. For television, you got to make it exciting. What is the cartoon show that's really dirty?
Family Guy?
No, South Park. Thank you. I hate South Park.
How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry, but I probably wasn't allowed to watch it for a long time, so then I probably just never really got into it. So then the few times I was subjected to it, I did not find it.
See, I love all those like raunchy cartoons. I would Adult Swim, and South Park is not on Adult Swim, but the Adult Swim lineup starting at like 10 p.m. when they did the Family Guy, American Dad, you know, Squidbillies, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I never liked American Dad either. They just made jokes about his paralysis. I thought that was terrible, the guy in the wheelchair.
And that's the main reason why you wouldn't like South Park.
Yeah, it's sad.
You would not like
this.
Yeah, they made fun of him, and they always were like
they're
doing
very
things.
Inappropriate.
Yeah,
they are very inappropriate.
I remember when I used to produce for Dempsey, that whenever it was the whole Tim Tebow talk coming out of the draft, and I had the South Park Timmy clips ready to go. And it just, another Tebow mention? All right, Tebow, there we go.
Social commentary on South Park, I will say, it's actually pretty good.
It's pretty dang good.
It's
topical, and it's these guys are super smart, and they write all these episodes, and it's very they can create these, not like the other cartoons where they're hand drawn, or a lot of it's done through. South Park is done through CGI and computers, so they can pump out these episodes with topical jokes, and it's really relatable. So when like Trump got elected, I could not wait for the first South Park episode because I knew they were going to rip him to shreds, and that's what I tune in for.
They had to create a show within that Tuesday because they are on Wednesday, so the election was a Tuesday night. They had to make a whole show.
They didn't expect him to win. It was
make 2 shows.
Well, I have not seen a South Park episode in years, so if they're fantastic relating to the political stuff, certainly.
But one show.
My mom wouldn't let me watch when I was younger, though. So maybe that's why I like it so much.
It's like a guilty pleasure now. Well, one show that's in sort of a similar like reality show vein that I have watched since I was little is The Challenge on MTV. And like Real World, Road Rules.
Do you still watch it?
I still watch it. So MTV has changed the way that they do their streaming. So I can no longer watch via, they're not partnered with Xfinity for whatever reason anymore. And so I cannot watch it using my parents' login, watch it through their app anymore. I have to sign up for a 24-hour viewing pass. So I, no lie, have made 6 different email addresses with MTV so I can watch the full season, because I'm on a group text with a couple other girlfriends, and we all watch it together, and we text each other about it. They started texting me about it, and I didn't see it, so I had to use all these different logins in order to watch it, and I just binge watched it pretty much over the past week, and I'm finally all caught up. So I was sending them all texts last night. Can you believe she said that? Can you believe this? Did you watch the reunion show?
There?
Yeah, he is.
Johnny Bananas?
Johnny Bananas too.
These guys, they need a life.
They gotta be like mid-40s.
And how much money are you? I mean,
well, Johnny Bananas has won 6 times. 6 out of 17 times he's won. They call him like a challenge Hall of Famer, and it's sort of a Real World and Road Rules sort of originated for a lot of reality TV shows. So if you hate all those shows, you can have MTV to blame for that.
And you talk about like shows you weren't allowed to watch when you were a kid. I was not allowed to watch the channel MTV.
Huh?
Nope. Not allowed. Never.
There was only certain shows I wasn't allowed to watch.
I would definitely not be allowed to watch it now because there's no more videos.
What age did your parents stop monitoring what you were watching?
I don't know. They didn't care because all I watched was I Love Lucy. So I was not a problem.
It was your brothers that were the problem.
I don't remember what age either, because by the time I got to high school, I had no time to actually watch TV. So I think whatever I had wanted to watch in the past, I no longer even requested.
What about any of the cheesy Christmas stuff that's on right about now, y'all?
Christmas Vacation every time it's
Yes,
on.
Christmas
Yeah,
Vacation. I
that's a
echo
good
that.
Chad said that his wife loves the Hallmark Christmas movies. My cousin watches those, and every time I walk in her room, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, and I feel bad because it's in the Christmas spirit. But it's always like the same stories, you know, like long lost love, and it's like, oh,
yeah. I don't watch any of that.
I just watched a classic Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, or like the two movies. But then as far as like cartoons, like the claymation, I'll do Frosty and then I'll do Rudolph, and maybe
my kids are like, what the hell is this? If they see the claymation ones, they're like, is this back in like the olden days? I don't want to watch this. This is weird. I'm like, all right.
That's how I think I would be too if I'd never seen
100%. Anytime. So we obviously watch a lot of sports in our house, and we brainwashed our kids to do it too. And my son will turn on ESPN on Saturday mornings, and sometimes he'll flip through and there'll be like old games on ESPN Classic or whatever. And then when I say old, I mean like even early 2000s when standard HD wasn't a thing. And he's like, Mom, this is like an old-timey video. And I'm like, oh, God, that's back when Missouri and Nebraska were still in the Big 12, and this is what they call standard definition, son. So
yeah, Mama was in college.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, switching gears a little bit. How do you define sportsmanship or unsportsmanlike behavior? Jalen Ramsey on Sunday got a little bit of criticism from Colts fans whenever he extended his arm to help Andrew Luck, quarterback for the Colts, get up off the ground, and then he rescinded that handshake only to quickly walk away. A lot of Colts fans were mad about that, called him unsportsmanlike. Though the two can be seen after the game shaking hands and having a close conversation. That was posted by Jalen Ramsey himself. But first, did you think that the move was unsportsmanlike?
Well,
or just petty? It's definitely petty, but a good kind of petty.
It's against the Colts, and I'm not a fan of the Colts, so I didn't care. If that was Peyton Manning, I would have loved Jalen Ramsey. Oh my gosh. I would have said, why don't you just push him down again? Help him get up and then push him back down. I know Tom McManus hates when the opposing team members help each other up. He hates that. It's during the game, you're not friends. After the game, you want to talk, that's fine. But during the game, don't. I like it. I think it's great when they do it. But because it was the Colts, I had no problem with it.
I have no issue with it, because especially when Jalen said after the game, I do it every game. This just happens to be caught. It's in his kind of line of how he plays, in between the lines, do whatever, and then after the game is the real sportsmanship stuff. If Luck was hurt, like gripping his knee, and then needed some help up and he did it, maybe I would have viewed it a little differently. But in reality, I thought it was kind of funny.
No, it's unsportsmanlike, but whatever. I mean, at this point, that's who is Jalen. I mean, when you're teaching your kids what sportsmanship is, you don't include that as an example of something that is sportsmanlike.
Yeah, you probably want to point to like a Calais Campbell,
right?
who is the ultimate professional.
But these are a grown men. But I thought something that was interesting. Daniel, my husband, told me this morning that Jalen made sure to let everyone know that he then went and talked to Luck after the game. That essentially, when the clock is on, when the lights are on, and in between the lines, and all these things, he's this kind of guy. But when it comes to after the game, he wanted to make sure people knew that. And I think maybe even posted a video of him shaking hands.
I think it was on Instagram. I don't know that he posted a video. I think it was a photo.
A picture, yeah.
Was it? Okay.
But either way, yeah.
Either way,
he made sure that people knew it's something that he enjoys, doing.
That's
and it probably
what he does. And
they had it last night on Come On Man on Monday Night Football. And at first I thought they were going to say, come on, man. Like they had it on Jalen, and I thought they were saying, like, you can't do that. But instead I think they were more just like, Luck, you should kind of know better. It's Jalen, and look what he said about you.
Remember when there was a penalty called on Von Miller a couple years ago? I think it was against the Bills when he did that to a quarterback, and he did get a 15-yard penalty.
And I was worried that Jalen was going to get, because the refs were right there, and I thought for sure he was going to get penalized.
And then that undisciplined
What about
concept they seem to have.
What about villains in sports? And I'm not trying to say that Jalen's act was villainy, but it was a little petty. But I like the petty.
I think you made up a word.
Villainy? No, I googled it.
It's an actual word.
I googled it to make sure before I sent it in the email. Villainy is a word. I was like, all right, yes. I didn't just make up a word.
I think if that's who you are, and you want to be that person, then I guess go for it. But when it's forced, or it's like you try to be the bad guy, and it's like, what is, I don't know. Is there a place for villains in sport? Sure, because I guess there always has been and always will be. But if it's an act, or if it's,
I feel like they're a dying breed, though. Like guys that are just jerks for the sake of being jerks, and it makes sports a little more interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
like Sue.
Okay, so
he's a jerk.
Right. So what's the difference between? Is there a difference between being a villain and being a dirty player?
Yes. Because I don't know. I think it's a fine line to walk, because like a Draymond Green, I would consider him kind of villainy,
but he's definitely dirty.
He has had some dirty instances. Like a guy like Michael Bennett, I think is absolutely a dirty player. But I don't know that he's a villain in that regard. I just think he's a dirty. I think it's almost worse to just be considered a dirty player versus a villain.
I think it all depends on whose team they're on. If they're on your team, you go, well, that's my villain, and I'll protect, unless it's something incredibly egregious. But if they're on the other team, like the Michael Bennett situation, you're like, I want to just...
I've hated him ever since that Seattle game.
Yeah, I want to have some words with him and tell him, that he needs to learn better behavior. And that's the nicest way I can
not go at a guy's knees when he knows that he's hurt, maybe.
Right, yeah, that you could really injure someone. So I think it just depends. I obviously would prefer that Jalen not do the off-season trash talking until it was preceding a successful football season, but you can't have predicted. I mean, we were predicting a successful football season, so I can't necessarily blame him for not predicting it.
Donna?
No,
you don't want any villains?
No, I mean, well, you have to. I think your rival team and your rival players are your villains. Like that's how I look.
Like
at
a Jarrell Casey is definitely a villain.
Yeah, like I hate myself for liking A-Rod now. Like that, because he should be a villain,
right?
But he's really good.
And he owns up to his bets.
Yes,
so you gotta respect him for that.
So I do. Like somebody like Ndamukong Suh, he's easy to dislike.
Right.
Because he's a dirty player, and then I don't just name something nice about him.
You can't.
Right? I would consider him probably a villain, a good villain.
True, good point. All right, when we come back, we're going to get into a couple more topics about traveling, our favorite cities to visit, and a couple more topics, so stay tuned. This is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Army tradition.
All right, which ones are we going to do? I didn't mention the soccer one because I wasn't sure if we were going to get into that.
That's fine. We'll do the traveling.
What is it? Is this the last segment?
This is the last segment.
It's falling by.
Okay. Do the traveling.
Yeah.
Oh, us going to Philly or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, to plug that.
And then we never got to the 9-year-old girl requesting Steph Curry's shoes.
Which I loved.
Yeah, so maybe we...
Or his response, I more loved.
It's Philly, Steph Curry, and then we'll see...
And he's a Sox fan. I like him.
Well, I have a funny roommate story.
Big Red Sox fan.
He's a front runner then.
If we have time.
Right?
I don't know, he has a certain football team.
Isn't he from Virginia?
You can be from anywhere in
I guess,
Sox.
yeah.
Come
I'm
on,
from Jacksonville High.
Speaking of Virginia, so my brother, who lives in West Virginia, all the schools are closed in West Virginia tomorrow. Because of the
teacher strike?
morning. No, day of mourning.
Oh, damn.
Why?
For
41.
President Bush.
Oh.
So
well, I wondered what...
Yeah, so I immediately texted JT's teacher.
Is he from West Virginia?
No.
Oh, well,
that's why I asked. I go, why?
And why tomorrow?
He goes, I don't know. It's West by God. Because that's what they always call.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, because tomorrow's the funeral.
I thought the funeral was today. Today was just like transporting. Was it
today? Today they were walking through the rotunda.
Okay, got it. Gotcha. So they canceled school in the entire state?
Yeah, so I immediately texted JT's teacher. I'm like, I'm just checking to make sure we have school tomorrow.
That's interesting that they would do that.
Because
we're Florida.
I mean, it's a government day, even though my husband has to go to work. But A lot of the banks will be closed, so in case you have to go to the bank tomorrow.
Do they do this every time a president dies?
I don't.
Didn't Reagan? How long ago did Reagan die?
Not too long ago, like 2 years.
What? No, it was like 10 years ago for Reagan.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it really?
I think so.
Did his wife just die?
God,
I think his wife was more recent, maybe within the past 5 years, but Reagan had to be like 10, 15 years ago.
Did you guys see this? I can't even pronounce half the word.
Yeah.
No. Did you read this thing that happened to her? So the thing I sent about the twerking.
Oh, yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah. It's so embarrassing and just
2004.
so
You could tell immediately how awkward she felt.
Yes, and somebody should have kicked his ass.
And she immediately wanted to walk off stage.
Yeah,
and
did
the other
she
player.
not? Did she? The video I saw, she looked like she was walking.
And then he started dancing with her.
What?
Yes.
That's weird.
It's super weird. And I guess that was sort of his setup.
The worst kind of apology ever is when you say, first of all, if you don't say I'm sorry, but you actually say I apologize, to me that's already like you're not really apologizing, you're saying you're sorry. Number two is to say to whoever I offended. No, that doesn't work either.
He's like, I'm reading my social media interactions.
Yes, I apologize
and noticing.
for anyone I offended. Or to any, I mean, it's like, no.
Then don't apologize.
Right. Like, Jesus.
You're right.
Like, either own it or give a fully heartfelt apology.
Reagan passed in 2004.
Dang, that was a long time ago.
I was going to say, I thought it was a long time ago.
But yeah, his wife just died 2 years ago. So that's what I was remembering.
Was it Jimmy Carter that passed away recently? Maybe.
I thought he was still alive.
Is he?
Is he?
He looks dead.
Dead or alive. That's a great game to actually play when you throw names out of actors.
With Mary Poppins coming out, I seriously thought Dick Van Dyke was dead.
No, he is like rocking and rolling.
He's apparently dancing, and I need to see that.
More die?
Yeah.
Okay, that's maybe why you think that.
No, I just thought he was been around for a while.
There's a show I watched all the time.
Yeah.
Did you see the new
My
one?
guy Jimmy Carter's still
Not yet.
alive.
No.
Told ya.
Your guy? I was like, that's a strange one to have.
I used to watch Teen
correctly, he was still
Mom.
alive.
You guys ever watch Teen Mom on MTV?
The first season I did.
So hard to watch though. I mean, because they're just
No, I don't
They
understand.
still have those same.
How are these?
Yeah, they do.
Our makeup artists.
How are these
They show
teenagers?
the commercials during the challenge.
That one girl's like got facial reconstruction
like
surgery. She's in porn. She's in everything. And I'm like, wow.
Oh, the one chick.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
She's hold on.
Yes.
Hold on.
I'll tell you.
I've
She
never
from
seen
Nebraska?
One episode, but I know her.
I have
She's like super
absolutely no
famous.
idea.
Okay.
But I will tell you.
Well,
what
she
they're
did a-
looking
she
up
did
for.
Hold on.
Backdoor Teen Mom or
Chelsea.
something.
Is it Chelsea?
And like got her face all
Huska,
whatever.
H-O-U-S-K-A, and she has like 3 kids now, and
I don't
That
know
sounds
why I know her,
100%
but I know.
correct.
she's
Yeah,
super
you.
cute.
I know why.
No.
Oh no, Macy. Okay, yeah, no, Macy.
She has 3
She's from
kids
Tennessee.
too.
Macy's from Tennessee.
It
I'm telling
blows
you.
my mind that they will pay these teenagers and basically
No,
congratulations
but it
on
doesn't.
having.
No. See,
a
that's the
pregnancy.
misconception. If you've never seen the show, that is what people
I'm not
say.
watching a teenager have a child.
No, listen though, but the way
You
it's
don't watch them have it.
yeah.
No,
the way
I mean,
it's
I'm
portrayed
just-
though,
I don't
it's not.
know.
It does not. I mean, look, there
There they
are
are.
girl. Yeah.
I don't want to
Oh,
watch
wow.
a teenager raise a kid.
It is that it's
It's
really
usually
hard to
the
watch.
parents that are raising
It's
it.
not glamorized, and
Right.
it's actually proven
How it
that
is in
since
real
the
life.
show's
Right.
been released,
There's less.
less
Alright, here
teen
we go.
pregnancies because they look like a total. Now the problem is they all turn into famous people
Yes,
and
got
get on
millions
Instagram.
of
that's what makes,
followers.
that's what
Yes,
makes me so
yes.
irritated.
But at the beginning, before there was all that,
Right.
Oh, Michael Oxley of Maryland said that.
By Dreamfinders Homes
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Well, we gave away a Peterbrook Chocolate Hill as we do every week. We also gave away a Jaguars ladies cut jersey. And we're happy to be with you every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock here on Helmets and Hills, built by Dreamfinders Home. We're also going to bring you coverage of the Army-Navy game this weekend. Lauren Brooks and I are headed to Philadelphia on Thursday, a city that I have never visited, and a game that has been on my bucket list, and I'm so incredibly excited for the opportunity. And we'll tell you more about that. You can follow us on Twitter at Lauren_Rue and at 1010XL Lauren. Throughout the weekend, we'll be tweeting what we're doing. If you care to follow along, join us for sure.
That's cool.
So, Philadelphia, first of all, let's start with that city, just because that's where we're going. You've been before, yes or no?
I never been, but I've heard that it's very strict on how you order your cheesesteaks, or else you'll get kicked out of the place
it's like
or
no
something.
soup for you.
Chinos
it's like
or
the
something.
Seinfeld version of
Good thing I don't want a
soup.
cheesesteak.
Don't want to cheer. Okay, note to self. I don't know that I would mention that out loud in Philadelphia, but we'll just.
I won't say that there.
Dawn, have you ever been to Philadelphia?
I don't think so, and liking the Patriots, I don't think I'm ever welcome there. So
Okay, fair enough.
I'm fine.
And Lauren, I know you've been before, so this will be.
I've not been to the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
I've been outside.
Outside,
By the way,
okay.
I have more breaking news in college football since we're on the college football topic. Obviously, everyone knows the story about how Maryland's DJ Durkin lost his job with the death of a player that they ultimately found that he no longer had good control over the program there. So Alabama offensive coordinator Mike Locksley will now be Maryland's head coach. I'm going to assume, I haven't read the story, but I'm going to assume that he will stay and coach Alabama for the rest of this season. I'm just assuming because Alabama, of course, is trying to win another national championship, but Mike Locksley will take over that Maryland role. But yeah, as far as Philadelphia goes, I think it's most well known for, like we said, cheesesteaks, Rocky, the Liberty Bell, the movie Philadelphia, which
lots of historical stuff.
Lots of things that we hope we're going to be able to check out.
I think
song
that part's
streets
cool.
of Philadelphia.
Yeah, the song streets of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I've been many times. Going to like the historical stuff is rad.
Okay, well,
even if you're not like a history buff, it's like that's where the country started.
No, for sure. I can definitely appreciate that. All right, well, Philadelphia, we checked that one off the list this weekend, Lauren and I do. But where is your favorite city to visit, Donna?
Boston.
Not a trick question.
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers.
No, well, I'm trying. I used to travel a lot with 2 different jobs I had. So I'm trying to go back in my memory bank, which is not working 18 years ago. And I'm trying to think of like a city that I absolutely loved. And I love going to Boston. I mean, I can't help it. I love us, obnoxious people up there. I love, the seafood. I love the sports. I love that women, much like here though, I see, we're a group here that we can celebrate our love of sports, but they just diehard women up there that love their sports and know their sports, so I appreciate that.
All right, Blythe?
New York. And as much as I love the Red Sox, I have to say New York is one of the best cities that you can ever visit. I've never lived there, but it did look like I was going to for a hot second. But it's one of those cities that you can go 100 times and probably still find new things to do, old things you want to revisit. The food, the culture, the people watching, the touristy spots. I mean, there's just something about the New York hustle like frame of mind that it really draws me in. And I've been half a dozen times over the course of my lifetime, but I could definitely go a half a dozen more.
I went to New York City for the first time both times actually I think I've been, was the summer, and I was like, it's hotter up here than it is in Florida.
No wind through the
heck,
buildings.
yeah, because of all the asphalt, all the buildings. It's a great city for sure. Not one that I would necessarily need to go back to unless I've always said this about it, unless I had the ability to afford the things that I looked out and saw. And I think there's 2 different ways of doing New York City, like being with the haves, and then I was more like the scrounging.
But even like the dive bars, I mean, the food is some of the best on the planet, and it's just it's definitely within the next year I will be back.
I was like, I want to be on a boat out there. I want to go to Broadway. I want to go to the nicest restaurants. Oh wait, never mind.
I did have a girlfriend who worked up there at Madison Square Garden, and she hooked it up as far as she got me tickets to the Knicks game when LeBron and the Cavs were in town, and then she also got me tickets to the Rockettes, which play right there on Broadway, right near the Rockefeller Christmas tree. I went I think maybe 3 years ago around this time of the year, and it was so beautiful.
So is New York your city then?
Oh, no, not at all. Sorry.
Okay.
Mine would be New Orleans because you've got the history. You've got, when I went the second time, there were different plantations opening back up, reopening, and trying to tell the story of not just the homeowners, but also the slaves that had worked there. So you really got a good look at that. We've all mentioned food as a reason that we love those cities. New Orleans, of course, has fresh crawfish when they're in season because they're right there. And also, I think just some of the best cuisine because I love that spicy food and tons of fresh seafood. Then they've got the music scene that I love. Yeah, they've got beignets too and really good coffee. They've got the nightlife if you want to have dinner or if you want to go get hammered at the bars, you can certainly do that. I think New Orleans just has this awesome feel to it, a lot like Savannah too, where you can do so many things and it's still got that small town live oak tree, sun-dappled feel to it.
And the stadium is right downtown too, so you can stay downtown, you can go to the game downtown, and then you can also, walk around the city. It's great.
Savannah, you can also drink in the streets.
You can.
They have to-go windows. You can walk up to the to-go window and walk down the street. It's fabulous.
My favorite city in the U.S. is Washington, D.C. My sister lives there. It is a fun, if you've never been before, it is a really cool place to visit. It doesn't matter about your political affiliation. Go ahead.
The traffic is insane.
Yeah, but if you walk everywhere, I mean, it's such a city that you can walk to or Uber to from point A to point B, and she lives in the actual city, so going to see the monuments, especially at night, is an amazing thing. I mean, you talk about history and standing where Martin Luther King stood. I mean, all these things that you go, I'm really in the same spot. So the food, it's expensive to be there, but they have the majors, they have all the sports, they have again, everything is in walking distance, and if you want to take a cab or an Uber out to Arlington Cemetery, you can do that. There's Georgetown. There's all really cool. It's a place that when I think about going now, it's also because my sister lives there. It's like, hey, we could go to D.C. for the weekend and have a good time. But I will say this, as far as outside of the country, outside of Mexico, but I don't want to count that, I've been to Italy, and Florence is the most amazing city ever. And people who visited other parts of the country or other parts of the world have said, Florence, Italy doubles down on it. And like I said, I haven't been to many places. I've been to Rome and other places in Italy, but Florence is a beautiful, beautiful place. So if you ever get the opportunity to go,
By the way, I went to Washington, D.C. And
was it for a school trip?
No,
okay,
it was in the summer. I was an adult.
Oh, it's hot then too. Yes,
it was
what's
very hot.
Your summer trip.
That's the thing. So I was walking around with my friends, and we could not find the reflection pond anywhere, right? And so I finally just walk up to somebody, and again, we're like sweating walking around, and I was like, where's the pool? And the person looked at me and they go, two things. One, you can't swim in it.
Oh, the reflecting pool or whatever?
And two, it's drained. It's right there, but it's drained.
Oh, they were fixing it. So my kids one night accidentally fell into, my son accidentally fell into the reflecting pond. Yeah. Anyway, this was a time when there were not many people. No, he did not. No, he did not. All right, Steph Curry. Most of you probably heard this story by now, and I want to take just a different spin on this. I was just thinking about this when the subject was brought up this morning during our emails and figuring out what the topics for today. Steph Curry has his shoes through Under Armour, and a young lady named Riley Morrison, who's 9, wrote an open letter to Curry saying basically, look, I love your shoes and I think you're great, and I know you have daughters and you care about girls in sports and you have these camps, but why is it that your shoes are only listed in boys' sizes? And she's right on, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense.
They have men's, women's, and
boys, right? So she writes him this letter.
So they're not anti-female.
He follows it up and he says, you know what, you're right, we'll get that fixed, and I'm going to hook you up. We'll make sure that the Under Armour website takes care of that, and I'll send you my latest shoes. Yay, Steph Curry. You know what I think gets lost in this? This little girl took initiative. She was empowered enough at 9 years old to say, you know what? Instead of just complaining about it or being dismissed and saying, well, it's just another way that, I'm going to just have to buy the boy size or whatever, she took it upon herself, whether it was encouraged from her parents or whoever, or a teacher, and wrote this letter and made a change. And I don't know that I've heard it addressed that way. It's yay, Steph Curry, for doing what's right and saying, no, kudos to her and taking the initiative.
That's exactly how I took it.
Love it.
So spot on. I mean, that's exactly, I looked at it, I'm like, this 9-year-old girl had the smarts to be like, well, I'm not buying the boys' shoes. Shoot, give me my own women. Like, I want girls. Where are they? So,
good for her.
That's awesome. I think it's very, very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, I try to instill that in my daughter specifically, that this idea that she's not helpless and she can do things for herself, and if she feels strongly about something, she's only 6 and almost 7, and she's extremely strong-willed to begin with, but this idea that we can empower these young women and that they're being empowered to go ahead, even if it's something that maybe on a smaller scale is just asking for our shoes to be made specifically, but I love everything about it.
Never hurts to ask.
No,
and that's funny
not.
because I've been talking with my 6-year-old son, who I've heard him make little comments like, well, you can't do this, Mom, because you're not as strong as Daddy. And I'm like, you are not going to have this mindset, young man. And I know he's only 6, and I still, have to straighten him out like that. But I'm like, no, girls can do anything. If your daddy says he can do it, I can do it. Let's prove it, and so it's just, you got to get their minds molded.
I feel very empowered until I go to open a bottle and I can't get it open. And I try and I try and I finally hand it to Brian. And I'm always like, I loosened it. It's because he makes it look so easy. I'm like, oh, I am woman, hear me roar when I can't get the jar open.
My friends back in Oklahoma, we used to do this silly thing where we'd be like, hashtag, I don't need a man. And then we'd get stuck in a situation like, hashtag, I actually do need a man, but just don't tell him that. With a few minutes remaining, let's get it back to the Jags just for a moment. Short week, visit to see the Titans. Again, we know what happened the first time around, a 9-6 ball game. Do things change this week? Do they make it 2 in a row?
God, I hope so. I hate losing to this team, and I don't want to lose to them anymore. But the predicted scores, I went to a betting site today in order to see what the predicted score was, and it's 28-13. I'm like, oh, no, in favor of the Titans.
Wow.
Yeah.
If they do win, okay, first of all, who else thinks they're going to win in this room?
Jags, yes.
Okay.
I'm not picking the Titans.
Blythe?
Crickets.
I'm sorry, not Blythe. Donna?
Crickets.
You're not answering?
I don't think... They couldn't even score a touchdown. The defense showed up, but they couldn't even score a touchdown.
I think they do with Kessler's 1 week under his belt. He got the nerves out of the way, maybe fixed a couple timing issues, and Fournette's back.
Okay.
Yeah, the part that concerns me is the reason the Titans play so well against the Jaguars is that front seven. They're aggressive. We talked about Jarrell Casey. Doug Marrone said today he's as good as Aaron Donald, right? So you're talking about a front seven that can really get after that.
And beat up
and you've got 3 out of the 5 offensive linemen that are starters not able to participate. And you've got Cody Kessler, who I want to be able to see get more comfortable and not feel as if he's so rushed, even if the pocket looks okay. But I get it. It all happened so fast. You haven't played for a while. But I do think the return of Leonard Fournette is going to make a big difference, and the Jaguars are going to be able to punch it in the end zone solely because they have him. I think it's another close, tight, scrappy kind of, game where the referees have to be very heavily involved. But I'm going to say the Jaguars win 20-17.
Picking the Jags.
The Titans played the Jets last week and almost lost to the Jets and Josh McCown. That's where I'm getting my gut feeling.
Yeah, I was shocked when this team performed as poorly as they did against them in week 3. I thought, no way do they, and I literally said that on this airway, there's absolutely no way this team, the Jaguars at the time, lose to the Tennessee Titans. Did you just see what they did to the Patriots? And you know what? They fought their way to a win in the opener against the Giants. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. And I was shocked. I could not believe it. And people said, yeah, but they don't match up well with the Titans, and there's this history and all this, that, and the other. So pairing that knowledge with the fact that the offense is still going to struggle, whether it's Cody Kessler or Blake Bortles. Yes, Leonard Fournette helps, but there's too many obstacles, I still think, for the offense to overcome. So I think the Titans win again.
Ooh, this
Look
woman.
What the Titans did to the Patriots too. Both the Jaguars and the Titans, the Jaguars at the time, matched up really well against the Titans. But it's why these games are always so incredibly close, because they're two teams that Marcus Mariota has been playing really well recently, but it's still not like he's this fabulous franchise quarterback.
No, it is. It's just like a rival. It's no matter what team's showing up, it's always going to be a close game.
And by the way, the Jags still have not won a road game since the opener.
Yikes.
That's another sobering thing. So shout out, thanks.
We're going to make this a second one.
Take us out of here, Lauren, but let's thank Brooke Pryor as well for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks to Brooke for giving her insight from Kansas City and the Kansas City Star. She covers the Chiefs on a daily basis, and she joined us earlier. If you missed it, I'm sure that interview can go up on demand. Thanks to Brooke Pryor for joining us. Thanks, of course, to our producer, JJ LaSelva, as well, for making it all happen tonight and every week. Stay tuned for XL Primetime with Hacker and Andrew Gibson. That's coming up next until 11 o'clock. For Donna Murphy, Blythe Brumleve, and Lauren Rue, I'm Lauren Brooks. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.